Check out that glute pump. I know it's not a lot, but y'all gotta understand, I used to be flat a long time ago. My strength wasn't there compared to last week where I was able to deadlift 245 for 3 reps on the deadlifts, but my squat form felt so much more solid, and I did record that, but I didn't record any of my deadlifts. I wanted to wait to get to max set, and I thought I was going to be able to hit 245 again, and when I got to 225, it just felt so heavy, but it felt super fucking solid. And I think for the first time in my life, and I know this is gonna sound insane because if you're a power lifter or if you lift heavy, you know how important core engagement is, but for the first time in my life, in over a decade of lifting, I felt that I actually could control my core and protect my low back every single rep throughout the entirety of all of my heavy sets. And it was such an emotional moment for me. Like, in the middle of a set, the last set that I did of the 225, I got so emotional that I was about to start crying, and I had to like keep it together to do my last rep. But it was like in my head, the line that like was said mid-set was, I will never again not use my entire body in the lift. I will never again not know how to brace my core. I will never again not understand my body mechanics perfectly so as to get the most out of the lift and do it in a safe manner. And it just felt like similar to that whole session that I explained a few vlogs back with the cardio, and that I'm a different person and that I'm upgrading in ways that maybe in the past I thought I was already at and I took for granted, and now I'm like revisiting and really embracing them as they're washing over me. So if I'm feeling self-conscious, I try to like make myself do the thing. And you know, if need be, I do my Jedi mind tricks. I use certain spiritual techniques, if you know what I'm talking about. Today on Instagram, I did my very first live ever. This is something that the only reason I'm even talking about this is because on here I talk about things that I struggle with and how I'm trying to get through them, what I do to work through them, or at least I try to. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of that or not, because I'm also not trying to make this a stressful place for me. YouTube is the place where I kind of like kick off my sneakers and just talk off the cuff. And that's why I'm sharing this. I don't even know where to start because there's so much to unpack here, and it has to do with imposter syndrome, with being a tarot reader or card slinger, however you want to label that. I am not the type of person who has ever been super confident in general, and every time I start something new, I hesitate to even talk about it. There's a lot of other things that go into this, right? That's why I'm like saying things slowly and unpacking it, because at the core of all of this is what I've identified as the fear of trying. But I was watching this athlete. She does triathlons, which I think is amazing, of course. I mean, not any person can do that, right? Not just any person can do that. And she was talking about how one of her strengths was that she didn't have a fear of trying. Like, she would try anything. Like, it didn't matter what it was. She wasn't afraid to try something. And that's when it clicked that I was afraid of trying. My whole life I've been afraid of trying. And it's the reason why there was so much validation seeking with people and with accomplishments, getting certifications, even my degree. Like, of course, you can't get some specific jobs you cannot attain, or careers you can't even step into if you don't have specific degrees. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to how you add value to yourself as a person based off of these types of things that you accumulate. And I still haven't even gotten into discussing anything in regards to my bachelor's degree, which would probably take a stupid long video. And I feel like I'm still kind of, I don't want to say recovering, but I'm still letting the dust settle on that, because that was such a fucking, I don't want to say it was a mindfuck, because I think it's definitely something that I had to go through. But you know, there was a point in time where I thought that I was going to be a physicist. There was a point in time where I thought I was going to be a physics professor in my old age. You know, like that was what my path was. So to think now where I'm at and how that seems very far away, like I'm not going to like completely put a definitive down and say I will never get into academia, or I will never try to pursue something in science ever again, because you just never know. But it's definitely something that is in my rear view mirror for now, and I don't really have a whole lot of feelings about. And that took me a lot to work through that, because I was also doing the degree and completing it while I was having to let it go at the same time, because I knew it just wasn't for me anymore. And I still finished it because I was just so close to finishing. It just seemed like stupid to not finish. But that was the last time, and I don't know if this is going to be the last time ever, but that was the last time that I started something and I finished, just because I was like, I started it, I need to see it through. Because I think I've mentioned in another video, I'm at that place where I don't feel like just because I start something, I need to finish it. And maybe some people see that as a bad quality, but I don't. I see it as a strength. And, you know, depending on what your past is, your history, and the things you need to work on to grow, that is a weakness, that is a strength. Because everything is relative, right? All this just because I was going to come on here and say, I finally did a live on Instagram. But one thing I can say about myself is that I will push myself to do things that aren't very pleasant, because I refuse to just romanticize about a lofty goal and not make moves towards that goal. So yeah, I want to be able to do readings in a public space, like at a fair, and not feel like it's this gargantuan task. I don't know if I always want to do that. I just know that that's something that's kind of like on my bucket list. I think I've mentioned it in a previous vlog that I have done like email style readings, which I am very well aware is a totally different monster. You know, there's pros and cons to all different styles of reading. But when you're an overthinker and you have an endless amount of time to reply to somebody, or maybe not endless, because, you know, there's limits as to how long you can take to, you know, reply. Well, I guess you can impose those limits on yourself, but there is a due date. And if you're an overthinker, overanalyzer, you have imposter syndrome, you can't fully trust your own magic, or you don't fully believe in what you're doing, then you're going to take way longer than you need to just to do a reading. And that's non-existent when you're doing live one-on-one readings, which would be the case if you're doing it in a fair, obviously. So I guess kind of like a step into that, or a segue into that, is to do more live readings. And then an easier way to do that is to have somebody you do it with. And I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It's the timing that I don't understand. Like, I know I'm constantly pushing myself to do more and bigger and better for myself, but I plan my things on a planner. And one day, I just thought, like, I feel like I need to do a reading soon. I've been feeling a really big push to be more of myself and bring more of what I actually put out on YouTube, or maybe like more of a formal Jazminethesage on Instagram. And even though I changed my name on Instagram, like my Instagram's fucking dead. Like I have I don't know, like over 12,000 followers, but it's fucking dead. I will post something on a story and I will maybe get 200 people that see it. And I know this can be the case for like a lot of the accounts because the algorithm is shit. But I also feel that it has to do with the fact that so many of my followers, and I know I've said this before too, but so many of my followers came during a totally different era of my life. And some of them do cross over into what I'm doing now, what I'm going to continue to be doing, but some don't. So I just feel like it's just like tumbleweeds over there. And it's also kind of like stunting my growth. So I'm starting a new YouTube. I'm starting a new IG. Name the same, Jazminethesage. Just straight, no underscores, no periods, nothing. And that's what I'm going to start just actually posting on. Because my Instagram's also pretty dead. I rarely post anything. And I just feel like my last few posts have been very audacious for me, for my comfort zone, because it really showcases like my spiritual, mystical, witchy side. And that's something that I never thought I would ever share on social media as big as Instagram. Well, my social media was bigger on Instagram than YouTube, but that's what I mean. But yeah, I just feel like this shift happening, right? And doing this live reading that I did with my friend was definitely one of them. I just feel like it was almost like not something I planned. Like one day I wrote it in my planner that I should talk to her about a collab or something. And then I kept rewriting it because I was lagging. I wasn't doing it. I was procrastinating. And I have a rule that if I keep rewriting the same thing on my planner, I need to either break it down smaller so I can actually do it, or it's not that important and I need to give up on it. And luckily for me, I had a lot of pride in me and I was like, no, I'm going to fucking do it. And then I hit up my friend before I could think about it too much. And she was like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, we planned it. And we were going to push it to another month. And I was like, no, let's just do it this coming week. Like I knew that if there was too much space in between, there would be too much time to chicken out, you know? And yeah, I was nervous, but we did it. And I think it went as good as it needed to go in order for me to not be discouraged and continue to show myself, be myself more publicly. Part of me leading up to today wasn't even comprehending that I was making this move that was so up there and huge to Jazmine in the past. Because me now, even though I was nervous like 10 minutes before, totally believed that this is something I would do. And that was chef's kiss. That was beautiful. That's alignment, baby. That's what that is. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening to me rant. And if you guys have similar experiences, I would love to hear them. And I do appreciate those of you who do comment on my videos. If you do have YouTube channels and you comment on my videos, you guys are the first people whose videos I go to look at because I feel like it's like that bond, you know? But yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll be uploading another video soon. You already know.